In this video, we're going to take a look at song structures.
DJ Roubo.
Okay, welcome back. So we're now in part 2 of looking at and analyzing song structures. So I've pulled up a song. I'm using Studio One, and it's version 3, and I have it in arranger mode. So I've essentially taken this song and I've broken it out into each of its components, and we're gonna go through each. There's 2 songs. We'll go through each one of these, and this is how I have identified it. If you disagree or you think a part should be something different, then feel free to comment below and we can have a conversation about it. But as I said in part 1, there is no specific way that you have to, build out a song. These are the ways that I have identified this particular song, so we'll get right into it. So that's the intro, right? First of all, it's at the very beginning of the song. It's instrumental, and we love that, by the way, because that makes it very easy to do loops and easy to do a transition from one song into the other. So, instrumental intros are great. Next.
You're no angel, but you're good for me. You're not perfect, but you're all that I need. Something about you that can't be denied. You're that bad girl who's sweet is just right.
So I identified that as a verse. It has some exposition to it. So yeah, I just said, okay, well that's the verse. Now I really want, outside of just trying to say, this is a verse, when you're listening to it, try to feel like each section has a certain feeling. Something's going to change. Maybe the melody changes slightly. Maybe you hear the chord progression or the harmony change slightly. And so that's another way, outside of just listening to words, that you're in a new section. And again, what's our primary thing that we're trying to accomplish as DJs is try to find the pattern. Whether we call it a verse or this actually is a chorus or a refrain or something, or even if we start with the bridge, we kind of don't care, especially if we're beginners, but we do want to identify where a section is, what's the beginning and what's the end of it. So then here's the next one.
You don't know, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, girl, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know what you're doing to me.
So we said with a refrain typically happens after a verse and before the chorus, and typically it has repeating parts in it. So I named it a refrain.
You got me like that, baby, come around. Something about the way lips move when you say you can't live without me inside your head. Speak to me, I wanna watch you on repeat.
So that's actually the name of the name of the song. So we've said, if we're trying to think of, if we hear the title, typically it's going to be in the chorus and it's going to be the major theme. So that's the theme. Hey, by the way, I'm just going to point something out. Originally, when I started to, analyze this song, because this had repeating parts in it, I initially thought this refrain section was the chorus, which is why you see that. I just haven't renamed it. And then after I'd sort of finished analyzing the song, I realized, that's definitely not the chorus. I've changed it. But I still, named or identified that section. So next.
You driving in my lane, holding down my pain, dragging out the lover in me, keeping all the demons at bay. You know you don't have to, you know you don't have to, but you don't wanna see me hurting no more. And for that, give you heart and soul. You don't know what you're doing to me, yeah.
So there's some more exposition, right? They're talking more about what's going on, giving you some more details. You don't hear a lot of repeating words or phrases. So yeah, we've got 2 more verses.
You don't know, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, girl, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know what you're doing to me. You got me.
So we've already identified that section earlier as the refrain. It's repeated. So guess what this is? It's the refrain. And then it goes into exactly what the chorus was before. So we've already identified that. So that's a new section.
Like down, baby, come around. Something about the way lips move when you say you can't live without me inside your head. Speak to me. I wanna watch you on repeat.
So that's the chorus. And hopefully, if you're, I know I'm breaking this down, but hopefully you're able to hear when the new section starts up. So when the chorus starts, it's kind of obvious from a word perspective, but I also want you to be listening to the actual music and listening for that pattern.
Just you and I talking about us.
So this is the bridge. You can hear in the music itself, without even listening to the words, that something has changed. So it becomes and it's not the words that we've heard in the chorus. It's not the refrain. So, if it's something changes harmonically in the melody, something in the music, then that's an easy way to identify the bridge, which this is.
Tell me what's up, girl, give me a mind in the fire, in your soul, just you and I, talking about us. Tell me what's up, girl, give me a mind in the fire, in your soul, just you and I, talking about us. Tell me
So you can hear it's just kind of a repeat of what's already happened from a music perspective in the bridge. So you'll see that the bridge continues. I'm going to jump ahead here, and then you can listen to the transition from the bridge into the chorus.
You got me locked down, baby, come around. Something about the way lips move when you say you can't live without me inside your head. Speak to me. I wanna watch you on repeat. You got me locked down, baby, come around. Something about the way lips move when you say you can't live without me inside your head. Speak to me. I wanna watch you on repeat.
So that's essentially it. And we know we're in the outro. Why? Because we're at the end of the song. It really wouldn't make any difference if there was vocals, although that's typically not the case. And we can see visually that it's fading out, so we know we're at the end of the song and we're at the outro. So for this song, I mean, we've identified all the different parts. We have an intro, we've got a verse, we have a refrain, the chorus, verse, refrain, chorus, bridge, chorus, and then an outro. See if I can shrink this down a little bit. So if we were going to play this whole song and we were going to mix, then chances are we'd let it go to the chorus, and then here, right at the outro, we could start the intro of the new song, crossfade it out. There you go. It's a real basic transition. Make sure it's beat matched and call it a day. Okay, let's go to the beginning of the song. Let's see if we can identify. So we know this is the intro, right? There's nobody singing. It's instrumental. It's at the beginning of the song. One thing that we could do from a mixing perspective is this is 32 beats. And I will always say, for me, other DJs think differently. I always think of things in 16 beats or 4 bars. In this case, we know that it's 8 bars because the bars here are at the top. So we may, if we were DJing, maybe we don't want to, have 8 bars or 32 beats. Maybe we only want 16. So then we can cut it in half, and then we could jump right into the verse. So there's different options there. So that's the first verse. Again, and the song is called Figure It Out, and then in parentheses, Bad Energy. So we're going to hope, and because this is typically the case, we're going to look for Figure It Out somewhere in the chorus. And then we should also kind of be on the lookout for Bad Energy. So, hey, we had a verse. Then, we might have initially thought, okay, well, we're in a second verse. However, we have a bunch of repeating patterns. In this case, we have Bad Energy, which is part of the title. It's repeating, and it's before the verse. So, I just decided to call it the refrain. So you'll notice it's this section, or this piece starts off with Figure It Out, which is the title. So chances are what? This is going to be the chorus. Okay, so now you might be thinking, well, where's the verse? Well, we already identified in a previous section that what was the refrain, where we heard Bad Energy. So because we've identified it there, at least from my perspective, I said, okay, well, if this is Bad Energy and they're having the same sort of, not identical, but same sort of repeating pattern, I've said that this was the refrain. Okay, so that's the title. So we're back in the chorus. I'm gonna jump ahead because it's largely the same, and we're gonna see if we can listen to how it goes from the refrain into the bridge, and see if you can figure out why it's the bridge. So hopefully you heard that. it has the bridge has a different type of energy. It sounds a little bit different. I mean, obviously it works within the song. So we've said, okay, well, now this is going to be the bridge. And then I'm going to jump ahead here just to save some time. So we know that that's going to be the chorus. Where have we heard that before? Oh, wait, in the refrain. And then I'm going to jump ahead here. Hey, we're at the end of the song. Things are fading out. What is this? It's the outro. So anyway, this is we've taken two songs, we've broken it out into its major components. These are two sort of, R&B type songs, so it makes things a little bit easier. What would you do if it were a house song, or there were no vocals, or if it's a trap song? It's the same. It's really the same thing. Even if you don't want to necessarily, call things a bridge, there might not be a chorus. There in a lot of songs, especially trap, there isn't a whole lot of verses sometimes. It's just kind of different variations of the chorus, maybe with an intro and outro. But you still can identify where things change, where the beat changes. Maybe you have, 32 bars where you have a bass drum, and then you have, 8 bars or even 4 bars where the bass goes away. Maybe you have another section that has a build-up. So, maybe you have a section that has a synth, then the next section, there's no synth and it's more bassy. All you're doing from a DJ perspective is just trying to identify the patterns. And then in the next section, we'll take a look at what we can do with some of that. If you find this useful, please like it, because it certainly helps me, especially as a growing channel. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Check out some of my other videos. I think the content's pretty good and getting better. And I will check you out in the next video. Cheers.